Jeremiah chapter 16. The title in the commentary by Christopher Wright is Silver Line Loneliness. Silver Line Loneliness? Huh? What's that? So here, God is telling Jeremiah, do not get married. You're not supposed to get married to have a wife like normal people, wives, children, kids, in contradistinction to what the law says that you are supposed to be fruitful and multiply, but you, Jeremiah, is not to. So talk about injury to insult. When Jeremiah was depressed in the previous chapter, and God said, get up, I'll make you stronger so that the people could come against you and you will not prevail. Not just that, God was not sympathetic. So you're not supposed to get married. Everybody gets married, but you're not supposed to. Because really the time is coming, but when during exile, during the siege, during drought, famine, and the sword, it's easier not to be married and have children. It's easier not to have to worry about your wife and kids, and therefore stop you from doing the work of God. So he was not supposed to get married, take a wife, and have children. And Paul was in the same situation too. Paul sometimes complained. I think at one time he complains that I have no wife. Yeah, but the other apostles could bring their wives along. So we know that. Someone said no, they didn't bring their wives along. Just because it's not mentioned doesn't mean they did not have their family with them. Because Paul did testify that the other apostles, are married and they took their wives wherever they went to preach, even Peter. So we can safely assume Peter had his wife and family in Rome when he went to exile in Rome. So this is a reality check for Jeremiah. And it says here, according to one thing about Christopher Wright, not just does he expound on the scriptures, he gives a modern application too. Here he says, any account of the book of Jeremiah, any preaching from it needs to be constantly aware of the enormous cost that this man bore in being the mouthpiece of God. And it's true for all preachers too, all of us who wants to do the work of God. And many oftentimes we fail. As in the case of Ravi Zacharias, maybe he thinks that, well, like Muhammad, this is a special privilege for the apostle of Islam or something like that. Do we have that mistaken notion? I don't know. And Jeremiah bluntly contradicts the prosperity gospel, teaching that faith and obedience automatically bring health, wealth, and happiness. So not so. Here clearly is that do not get married, do not have wife or kids. It's easier because the time is coming, really. Chapter 16, verse 4, they shall die of grievous deaths. They shall not be lamented, neither shall they be buried, and they shall be as dung. So the time is coming when it's easier not to have wife and children that you have to worry, because during that siege, people will die in the streets, with no one to bury them. Kids will die with the parents because the parents are already dead. The parents could bury the kids. The dead bodies are just piling up with only the wild animals tearing at their flesh. So, and then again, verse 5, the Lord said to him, do not go into a house of mourning, no funerals. Do not even go to attend funerals. No funerals, okay? And also in verse 9, no weddings. See, what does that mean? In funerals and in weddings, people get together and have some kind of community. They feast, they celebrate. Even in funerals, there is celebration because the suffering of that person is gone. So really, he says, you're not supposed to attend funerals or weddings. That means he's even more isolated. Because like I said, in funerals, And in weddings, especially in this context, in this society, there are people, the village, your family get together, your village get together, and you see each other. And he used to be a bachelor. Well, there's no such thing in the Jewish culture. There's no such thing as bachelors. Every man must be married, have wife and children. But here it's called to be a bachelor and be celibate. And not just that, it's not supposed to attend any gatherings, funerals, or weddings. So that further isolate him. So to be a true servant of God, maybe we're not all called to be that, but definitely Paul said, you're going to get married. It's easier. Really, it's truly easier. And here, 16, verse 10, and the people can't understand it. He said, what have we done wrong, Lord? So, imagine asking them, what's wrong with, I didn't do anything wrong. I've been saved by the blood of Christ. Why are you still condemning us? Then verse 11, your fathers have forsaken me, saith the Lord, and walked after other gods and served them and worshipped them and have forsaken me and have not kept my laws. You're going to visit the sins of the father upon the children, the third and fourth generation. Verse 12 says, and ye have done worse than your fathers, and behold, ye walk everyone after the imagination of the evil heart, that they may not hearken to me. It's like, you think you're righteous? Your father, it wasn't your fathers. I've done this, punish you for the sins of your fathers, but you're worse than your fathers. It's like, verse 17. Mine eyes are upon all their ways, they're not hid from my face, neither is their iniquity hid from my eyes. God sees. Don't think that God doesn't see. He sees everything. So you cannot protest your self-righteousness. 18. And first, I will recompense their iniquity and their sin double, because they have defiled my land. They have filled mine inheritance with the carcasses of their detestable and abominable beings. So there it is. That's why they're being punished. But the most important part about this message about 16 is, in spite of the dark forces of punishment coming down on them, there is hope. There's so much hope. Sometimes we have to clean out, deconstruct, clean out the mess so that we can bring in a fresh new start. Verse 19 is the most hopeful, and that's the whole reason for this action of God. The whole reason for Jeremiah being written, being called. 19, O Lord, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things therein there is no profit. Shall a man make gods unto himself, and they are not gods? Therefore, behold, I will this once cause them to know. I will cause them to know mine hand and my might, and they shall know that my name is the Lord. So what's the purpose of this? To clean house and bring forth the day the Gentiles shall come unto the Lord from the ends of the earth, and said, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherefore there is no profit. It's like, wow, see, this thing must happen. This punishment on Israel must happen. It must happen. They must go through this pain, so that what comes out of this pain is a whole new world. Imagine the Gentiles would come and say, oh my goodness, our forefathers really have worshipped gods. There are no gods. You are the living God and the one true God. And did that happen? He surely did. Because later in Jeremiah it says the new covenant. God looks down and said, oh my goodness, my servant, northern kingdom, southern kingdom is like gone, decimated. I have to come in myself to be involved in it and sort this mess out on earth and bring the new covenant. And in the commentary, it says that historical foundation would not be lost or denied. But when they would return from exile, Israel would discern another and even greater defining moment in their understanding of the saving power of that God. That moment would generate a fresh form of their confession of faith. See, the first Exodus was incredible. The second Exodus, the return of the exile, the return from exile would initiate a new covenant that would now bring in the nations of the world. Nations of the world would confess that we've worshipped gods and nothing. There are no gods. We've made up our own gods. See, shall a man make gods unto himself and they're not gods? Therefore, behold, I will this once cause them to know. I will cause them to know my hand and my might. And they shall know that my name is the Lord. And we thank God for this exile and return from exile, that we that were once outside of the kingdom are now admitted. We, the nations, the people of the nations of the world, are now incorporated into that Abrahamic plan of redemption and salvation. And praise God for his wisdom that it has to happen through so much pain first to happen.